Welcome to the Taste China Learn English. If you are listening to this right now, I want to speak directly to you. This specific deep dive into the sources is, well, it's designed entirely for you as an English learner.
Absolutely.
Imagine you need a massive favor from the most powerful, dangerous martial arts master in the world. How do you win him over? You don't use gold, you don't use swords. You hand him a giant steaming ball of dirt.
It sounds completely crazy when you put it that way. I mean, a ball of dirt. But it is actually one of the most brilliant strategies in the history of Chinese cooking and storytelling, too.
Right. Today, our mission is to uncover the secrets behind that steaming ball of dirt. We are taking a relaxed, comfortable pace today.
Yeah, nice and easy.
We'll use clear vocabulary to help you practice your English listening skills. But as that opening hook proves, simple English absolutely does not mean a boring topic.
Not at all.
We are exploring a legendary Chinese dish called Beggars Chicken, or Jiaohuaji in Chinese.
It is a dish that, it bridges the gap between historical survival, incredible cooking science, and epic martial arts fantasy.
Oh, I love that combination.
Right. And as we explore how it is made, we're going to naturally highlight some fantastic, highly descriptive English words for you to add to your vocabulary.
I am so ready to jump in. So let's unpack this name first. Beggars Chicken. Usually, when we think of famous, legendary food, we think of imperial banquets.
Exactly. Like palaces and gold plates.
Yeah, we think of kings, queens, or emperors dining in rich palaces. We do not usually associate masterpiece dishes with a beggar, someone who, survives by asking for food or money on the street.
To understand the name, we actually have to go back to a very specific place and time. The origins of this dish are tied to the Jiangnan region of China,
Okay.
specifically around the beautiful city of Hangzhou. The legend says that hundreds of years ago, a starving beggar managed to get his hands on a chicken.
Which is great, but
But he had a major problem. He had no kitchen, he had no stove, no cooking pots, no cooking oil, and no spices.
right, he just had the bird and the clothes on his back. That is a tough spot for a chef.
It really is. And worse, he had to hide his food from being taken by others.
Oh, wow. Of course.
So, out of pure desperation, he went down to the riverbank. He wrapped the chicken tightly in large lotus leaves that he picked from a pond nearby.
Okay. These make sense.
Then he scooped up thick, wet mud from the riverbank and just packed it all around the leaves. He basically buried the chicken in a ball of mud, dug a hole in the ground, and threw it into a burning fire.
So the original recipe was literally born out of panic and a total lack of kitchen tools. He
Exactly.
was just trying to cook his meal without anyone seeing it.
That is the legend, yeah. And when the fire finally died down, he dug the hard, baked mud out of the ashes.
Ah,
He smashed the clay shell open, and a smell so incredible filled the air that it supposedly attracted the emperor himself, who just happened to be traveling through the area.
talk about good timing.
Right. The beggar shared the chicken, and the emperor declared it the greatest thing he had ever tasted. From there, it moved from the riverbank straight to the imperial palace.
That is such a great origin story. But Beggar's Chicken is not just famous because of that historical legend. It is also famous because it plays a massive role in Chinese pop culture.
Oh, heavily. Specifically in the world of wuxia.
Yeah, and for our listener, wuxia is the genre of traditional Chinese martial arts heroes. Think of the flying warriors, the swordsmen, the epic battles in ancient bamboo forests.
It's super iconic.
Yeah.
And in one of the most famous wuxia novels ever written, a book called The Legend of the Condor Heroes, Beggar's Chicken is used as a very clever tool.
Right, there's a grandmaster character named Han Qigong.
Yes, Master Hong. He is a martial arts genius, incredibly powerful, and also the leader of the beggar sect. But his biggest weakness is that he is a massive foodie.
He loves a good meal more than anything.
Exactly. So if you want him to teach you his secret fighting moves, you cannot just ask him nicely, you have to feed him something spectacular.
The main female character in the story, Huang Rong, she's very smart and an amazing cook.
Oh, brilliant cook.
She needs Master Hong to teach her friend his martial arts. So she cooks him Beggars Chicken. Wait, let me make sure I'm getting this. They essentially used a chicken cooked in mud to negotiate with a powerful martial arts master.
That is exactly what happens. It is a brilliant psychological move. She serves the ultimate beggar dish to the leader of the beggars sect.
I love that. In English, we have a great term for this strategy. We call it culinary diplomacy.
It's a great phrase.
For our listener, the word culinary means anything related to cooking or the kitchen. And diplomacy is the art of managing relationships, usually between governments, by negotiating instead of fighting.
So, culinary diplomacy is the act of using delicious food to build trust, to persuade someone or to get them on your side.
Instead of arguing or fighting.
Right, you serve them an unbelievable meal. When people eat good food, their defenses drop. They become happy, relaxed, and much more willing to agree with you.
We see culinary diplomacy all the time in everyday life, too. I mean, if I need a big favor from a friend, like asking them to help me move heavy furniture into a new apartment, I'm definitely going to buy them a great dinner first.
Oh, for sure. Pizza is the ultimate moving diplomacy.
Exactly. But wait, I need to stop you here. I am looking at the actual cooking technique from the story, and I'm very skeptical.
Skeptical about what part?
The mud. If I take a ball of wet mud and throw it directly into a hot, blazing fire, the water inside the mud is going to evaporate immediately.
Okay, I see where you're going.
Yeah, the mud is going to crack, fall apart, and I'm going to be left with a ruined, dirty, burned chicken. How does this actually work in reality?
That is a very logical concern. If you just grab loose dirt from a garden, it will absolutely crack and fall apart.
Right.
But the chefs who make Beggar's Chicken use a specific type of earth, usually a thick clay or pond mud. This type of mud has a very high water content and a specific texture.
So it reacts differently to heat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When it hits the fire, it doesn't just crumble, it bakes. It hardens like pottery. It literally transforms into a natural portable oven.
So the mud bakes into a hard shell. It becomes like a clay pot that forms perfectly around the shape of the bird.
Precisely. And this hard clay shell does two critical things. First, it blocks oxygen. Fire needs oxygen to burn, right?
Yeah.
Because the thick clay blocks the air, the intense heat of the fire cannot reach the meat directly. The chicken does not catch fire. It does not burn.
Okay, that makes sense. It acts as a shield against the flames.
The second thing it does brings us to our first major vocabulary word for today, encased. The chicken is completely encased in the clay.
Let me explain that for our listener. When something is encased, it means it is entirely surrounded, covered, and enclosed by something else.
Covered completely.
Yeah, there are no holes, there are no gaps at all. If you put a letter inside an envelope and tape it shut, the letter is encased. Here, the chicken is fully encased in the heavy clay.
And because it is perfectly encased, it creates a sealed environment. When the heat from the fire slowly penetrates through that hard clay wall, it meets the natural juices of the chicken.
Oh, I see.
Those juices heat up and turn into steam. But the steam cannot escape through the clay. It is completely trapped. So the inside of that mud ball becomes a high-pressure, steam-filled chamber.
This sounds almost exactly like a modern pressure cooker, but like invented hundreds of years ago on a riverbank.
It really is ancient engineering.
And this sealed chamber brings us to our next key vocabulary word, moisture.
Moisture is crucial here. Moisture simply refers to small amounts of liquid, usually water, that are present in the air or trapped in a substance. In cooking, moisture is what keeps food juicy and prevents it from drying out.
Think about roasting a normal chicken in a standard kitchen oven. A lot of the moisture evaporates into the dry air of the oven.
Yeah, it just disappears.
If you leave it in too long, the meat becomes dry, tough, and hard to chew. But with Beggar's Chicken, because it is entirely encased in that clay shell, the moisture has absolutely nowhere to go.
That is the magic of the dish. The water turns to steam, the steam hits the inside of the clay wall, and it is forced right back into the meat. It's a continuous cycle of moisture.
To help visualize this, being encased in clay is almost like the chicken is wearing a protective spacesuit.
A spacesuit.
Yeah, an astronaut is encased in a spacesuit to protect them from the deadly environment of space, and the suit keeps all their oxygen safely inside. The chicken is encased in a clay spacesuit to protect it from the deadly fire, making sure all that precious moisture stays locked safely inside.
I love that analogy. A clay spacesuit. That spacesuit is what allows the chefs to use the slow roasting method. They can leave that mud ball in the glowing coals for 3, 4, or sometimes even 6 hours.
Wow, 6 hours.
Yeah, the heat moves very, very slowly through the mud. It is an exercise in extreme patience.
Okay, I understand the engineering now. The thermodynamics of the mud oven make perfect sense. It traps the moisture. But I'm still missing a huge piece of the puzzle here.
What's that?
Well, a wet, steamed chicken might be very juicy, but mud itself does not taste good.
No, it certainly doesn't.
Mud tastes like dirt. So, where does the legendary flavor come from? Juicy, flavorless meat is not going to win over Master Honky Gong.
You have hit on the true soul of Beggars Chicken. The mud is just the hardware, the software, the flavor profile comes from what is placed between the chicken and the mud.
Right. You mentioned earlier that the beggar wrapped the chicken in large leaves from a pond.
Yes, lotus leaves. Before the chicken is encased in the mud, it is wrapped tightly in several layers of large green lotus leaves. The lotus plant is very famous in the Hangzhou region,
Okay.
and this introduces our next excellent vocabulary word, aromatic.
Aromatic. This is a wonderful word to use when you are talking about food, gardens, or nature. Aromatic means having a very noticeable, pleasant, and distinct smell.
A really strong, good smell.
Yeah. If you walk into a cafe and smell fresh coffee brewing, that smell is aromatic. Fresh herbs like mint or basil are aromatic.
And fresh lotus leaves are incredibly aromatic. They have a bright green, slightly sweet, and earthy fragrance. Now imagine what happens inside our clay spacesuit.
The heat hits the leaves.
Exactly. The intense heat causes the lotus leaves to release their natural oils and their beautiful aromatic smell.
So the steam that is trapped inside is not just water anymore. It is steam mixed with the strong aromatic oils of the lotus leaf.
Which leads us directly to our next vocabulary word, infuse.
To infuse means to allow a flavor or a quality to soak into something else. The most common example is making tea.
Right? Hot water and tea leaves.
When you put a tea bag into hot water, you are infusing the water with the flavor of the tea leaves. The hot water pulls the flavor out and takes on that taste.
Inside the mud shell, under high heat and pressure, the aromatic steam from the lotus leaves penetrates deep into the chicken. It infuses the meat completely.
So the meat is just soaking it all up?
Yes, the chicken physically absorbs the flavor of the lotus leaf. It also absorbs the flavors of any other ingredients the chef put inside the bird. Often things like ginger, scallions, soy sauce, and sometimes pork belly or mushrooms.
Wow. So the meat is literally drinking in the flavor of the leaves and spices while it cooks. It is being infused for hours.
Hours and hours.
This completely explains why Beggar's Chicken is a masterpiece. It does not taste like plain roast chicken. It tastes complex. It tastes like the lotus pond. It tastes like the earth. And it is packed with savory spices.
It is the combination of the steam-filled chamber of the clay and the aromatic infusion of the lotus leaf that elevates this dish to a true masterpiece. The flavor is unforgettable,
I can only imagine.
but the experience of eating it is just as important. When the cooking is finally finished, the chef brings this giant blackened rock of baked clay right to the dining table.
Oh, I have seen videos of this. They usually give the guest a small wooden hammer.
Yes, you use the hammer to crack open the hard clay shell. It breaks apart like a plaster cast.
That sounds so satisfying.
It is. The moment the clay cracks, the sealed chamber is broken, and a massive cloud of aromatic steam rushes out into the room. It is incredibly dramatic. Then you peel back the dark, cooked lotus leaves.
And what does the meat look like after sitting in that pressurized moisture chamber for 4 hours?
The transformation is total. The heat has slowly broken down all the tough connective tissues in the bird. The collagen literally melts.
And this brings us to one of my absolute favorite English phrases. It is an idiom, which means it is a phrase where the words together have a special, widely understood meaning. The phrase is fall off the bone.
It is the ultimate compliment in the culinary world.
It really is. Fall off the bone is an adjective phrase we use to describe meat that has been cooked so perfectly and so slowly that it becomes impossibly tender.
So soft.
Exactly. It becomes so soft that if you pick up a piece with your chopsticks, the meat simply slides right off the skeleton. You don't need a knife to cut it, you barely even need to chew it.
The texture of Beggars Chicken is the definition of fall off the bone. Because the moisture was trapped by the mud and the heat melted the connective tissues, the meat is buttery and delicate. It practically dissolves in your mouth.
It is starting to make a lot of sense why this dish was used as the ultimate act of culinary diplomacy. I mean, if someone served me a meal that was perfectly encased in a clay oven, beautifully infused with aromatic lotus leaves, and completely fall off the bone tender,
You'd be convinced.
I would probably teach them secret martial arts too. I would give them whatever they wanted.
It represents the perfect harmony of science and nature. The earth provides the oven, the pond provides the aromatic flavor, the fire provides the transformation.
My friend listening out there, we have covered a fascinating journey today. We have traveled from a freezing riverbank in Hangzhou into the pages of a classic martial arts novel and deep into the thermodynamics of a steaming mud oven. Let's do a quick natural recap of our vocabulary to help lock these descriptive English words into your memory.
Reviewing words in context is definitely the best way to master them.
Exactly. We started by talking about how the chicken was completely encased in river mud. Remember our spacesuit analogy.
Blank.
To be encased is to be entirely surrounded and protected with no gaps for anything to escape.
And because it was encased, it trapped all the moisture. Moisture is the liquid or water content that stops food from drying out. Trapping the moisture is the engineering secret behind the dish.
Next, we learned about the lotus leaves, which are highly aromatic. Aromatic means they possess a strong, distinct, and very pleasant smell, which is released by the heat of the fire.
That aromatic steam is what allows the flavor to infuse the meat. Just like tea leaves flavoring hot water, the lotus flavor soaks deep into the chicken, transforming its taste entirely.
And finally, because of that slow, moist cooking process, the final result is meat that is fall off the bone tender. It is an idiom describing meat so soft and perfectly cooked that it separates from the skeleton without any effort at all.
If you can recognize and use those 5 concepts, your descriptive English has taken a big step forward today. You can use these words to describe your own cooking, your favorite restaurants, or even things outside the kitchen.
You really can. And before we finish our deep dive today, I want to leave you, our listener, with a final provocative thought to mull over. Think about the story of Beggar's Chicken. Think about how one of the most heavenly, legendary dishes in Chinese history, a dish fit for emperors and martial arts grandmasters, came from the most humble, basic origins imaginable.
The original chef had no wealth, no technology, and no proper tools. Just dirt, leaves, and fire.
Exactly. They used the earth around them, but with cleverness and understanding of nature and extreme patience, they created pure magic. So my question for you to think about today is this. What other simple secrets from the past might we be overlooking right now? In our fast, modern world full of expensive gadgets, complex technology, and fancy kitchens, what brilliant, simple, ancient tricks are just sitting in the mud waiting to be rediscovered?
That is a very powerful question. Sometimes the best solutions are the most natural ones.
We hope you enjoyed this relaxed English learning deep dive. The next time you are reading a wuxia novel, or maybe taking a trip to visit the beautiful West Lake in Hangzhou, you will know the exact science and history behind this culinary masterpiece. And more importantly, you will have the perfect English vocabulary to describe the experience to anyone.
Keep practicing your listening and keep exploring new words.
We would love it if you could take a second right now to like this deep dive, share it with another English learner who might enjoy it, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss an adventure. Thank you so much for spending your time with us today. Happy eating and happy learning. See you next time.